Peace, peace, y'all. We back. You know how we do. It's the Bro Foundation. Profound conversations with brothers across the nation. You know, we appreciate everybody who continues to support and check out the episodes. You know, last week was another great one. But we got another good one for y'all again today. You know, so shout out to Complex Key and Jay Hunter. You know, it's a mindset. You know, so yeah, man. My brother Henry, he'll see. We'll see if he can join us a little bit later, but he might end up not making today's show. But you know, like I've always said, man, like we've always said, you know, immediate family responsibilities come first. Sometimes, you know, life supersedes, you know, this right here. So until we can have our own time, which is what it comes down to, until we have our own time, we're gonna keep it moving. I mean, things happen, and you know, he's here with us. You know what I mean? Yeah. But not in the physical sense, so to speak. But yeah, we're just gonna keep it moving and bring a good show. He'll be back with us next week if he doesn't end up making it today. But so then we're gonna, you know, keep the show rolling. But that's just how we do. So how y'all feeling though?
All feeling good, man. All is well, baby. Good.
Sure, let me get some sun going on in here, man. It's beautiful weather out here in the Pacific Northwest. Jesse down there in Texas, Dallas.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, football season is getting underway. You know, preseason games already started and all that. But yeah, so that's when, you know, when football come back around, that's really like the telltale sign of that the year is coming to an end, man.
Oh yeah.
Like that's one of the things that kind of, and that's why I do what I can to kind of like not look too forward into the future as far as like, oh man, I can't wait till football season gets here. Of course I can't, you know, I mean, it's one of the things, of course, you know, I definitely look forward to it, but to keep my mind in the now, like that book, The Power of Now.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I want to make sure I'm enjoying every moment, every bit of time that we have. Because, you know, right. As soon as the football season comes back around, the year is not too far from approaching the end, you know. So
yeah. It's just so even in basketball, they got the one game away from the gold medal. So the USA basketball.
That's right. Yeah, so, USA and Canada, right?
Yeah, shout out to them.
Yeah, man. Had a little troubles last game, right? Who was they playing?
Yeah, that was who was that? Was Serbia.
Okay.
Yeah, Jokic.
Yeah. Had a little troubles, but you know that's what, you know, when you can't coast through it. You know what I mean? Like if you coast through it, you ain't gonna appreciate it. You know, right. Like there's a couple teams that definitely didn't have no issues. Like we know the first string team didn't have no issues. They coasted through that thing with no problem. But it's always good to have a little bit of you know, competition, so to speak, so you just don't get complacent. You know, that's kind of important. But anyway, man, we gonna get the show rolling. Today we talking about it's a heavy one today, man. We think this is gonna be one of them ones. But you know, we just in the same respect of, you know, how we talked about helicopter parenting and just passing on knowledge to our children. You know, it's kind of in the same realm of, you know, as parents, as grown men, you know, as grown-ups now, it's important to forgive your parents for some of the things that they might have subjected you to. You know, being that we're, like I said, we're grown now and we kind of see what life is like being a parent. It kind of forces you to be like, man, I might have had it, you know, it might have been hard on my parents as far as, you know, the things that they did to me or subjected me to, I might not have understood and have resentment, but when you become a parent yourself, you realize, man, like this game ain't easy. You know,
Right.
this game ain't easy, man. So it's
Not at all.
important. You know, it's important to forgive your parents for and that goes on many aspects, right? Like, of course, not everybody had a tough life. Not everybody had, but in some way, shape, or form, as children, we had some sort of disdain, some sort of resentment for our parents on every level. You know what I mean? Like I can only speak for myself. I mean, I'm sure, like I said, you guys kind of feel the same way, but there has to be some things that as a child you thought your parents was being mean or being like not being good parents to you in some way, shape, or form, right? Who knows what that is for everybody, because everybody's life is different, but we can all probably agree on that note. So yeah, we just kind of wanted to dive in on that topic, because I know there's a lot of people who feel the same way as we do and might still be going through some issues as far as not forgiving their parents. There still might be some trauma that's still being dealt with. So to have this conversation could help you, get through that. Could help you say, you know what, they're right. Let me apologize to my mom. Let me apologize to my dad. Let me apologize to whatever guardian you might have had. It might not have been a mother or father. It could have been a a different type of guardian. But yeah, it's just important that we understand that parenthood is not easy, and so it's just vital that we, for our own growth, that we begin to get through those issues and say, you know what, I do apologize. I forgive you. So yeah, we just going to just do what we do and go around the horn, so to speak, and just kind of speak on some speak on that fact. I guess I would say first, like, what do you guys feel are some things that you went through as children that that made it hard or make it hard for you to forgive your parents? What are some things that you were subjected to, and are you able to forgive them? If not, what's it going to take?
Mm. That's a packed question right there. I can definitely tap in. I think it's not even more so what I feel like I've been exposed to. I think I had to realize and sit back just thinking about the conversation at hand. It's like, why do I feel like what I went through, I need an apology for? That's how I look at it. Like when I first when I think of the topic, I'm like, why do I feel like I need an apology for something? And at first, just thinking about the actual exposure to things, I just feel like I kind of had it good. I had a parent where, being raised by a single mom, she did the best that she could. So the things that I went through was more so like maybe where I lived, why you choose to live in this type of environment. To now that I'm outside of school and I'm dealing with these people or these kids or whomever, in this age that I'm in, 16, 17, whatever, why here? Because now that I'm here, now that I'm seeing what's going on, now I'm seeing what I'm exposed to, that's kind of messing with my mental. It's kind of taking me to another level of questions like, dang, do everybody live like this? Like, why the streets so dirty? Why do people houses boarded up? Why, things of that nature. And just, how it is in the Black community, man, that's why they call it the projects. That's what's called gentrification is. So we all know internally that's a thing. But to then sit back and be like, dang, I feel like I could have gotten this or I should have gotten that, and mom should have done this and that. I did feel that way at first at the beginning of this topic and when we first started talking about it. But it's more so I feel like the opportunities that I lacked is what made me feel like I need an apology. And I think that's more of a, not even just, oh, we live in this housing area wherever these people live and it's just not the best. Hey, that's what you could afford at that time. The living conditions back then wasn't the best everywhere. And the cost of living, of course, was different than it is now. So it's the wages, but what you could afford, this is where we had to be at. I get that. But then if I'm gonna be in this type of environment, anything outside of that, is that something that you can do? So then I felt like, okay, I didn't get the same AAU options that, my other friends did because they had a 2-parent home and they was living in a different environment. Or even just some of the financial things. So I feel like those the type of things I feel like, I feel like, that's something that I had to accept that I didn't have, but I also had to understand that maybe she didn't have it either. So it's a little bit of both. Like, dang, I could have gotten this, I should have gotten that. I feel like you need to give me something in return to that. But then as an adult, I kind of see it like, dang, she only could do what she could do with the resources that she had. So how can I then totally be at fault for her? So it's kind of like I'm right in the middle, and it's kind of different for me. But I think just for my situation, like I said, the only things I really didn't have was opportunities, just because finances wasn't there. Other than that, she did the best that she could with what she had, and I'm grateful for that. But I'm also, again, there's those opportunities that I missed. Man, moms, why you ain't do that? Then I'm putting blame on her. So I think that's just where I'm at with it.
When I thought about this combo for tonight, man, because like we always say that it's a very deep topic, and it's come from a place where you have to take your mind back on certain things, because you have to realize like certain characteristics that you may have, it might not be your fault because it coming from somewhere that you experienced, like trauma that you experienced. And I was carrying around a lot of resentment and unforgiveness with my family. Simply just a basic breakdown, like my pops was the one, he would always be at work, bust his ass, take care of his family, build us a nice crib, but the love wasn't there inside of the household. We was always some secretive, private information people. And it all comes from all different corners of the earth. So I would say that because I always say like we the compass, north, south, east, and west. I would be north, my sister be south, my daddy east, and my mama west. So we all be separated. And that's what it caused us to be, because there was no love inside of the home. So my mom, she cheated on my dad when I was young. And she used to bring me around like this guy that she was around. So I developed, like an inner, like, I couldn't understand, like, a church going woman would do this to a man that goes and go work out, go do what he got to do to make sure the family is taken care of. So it caused a lot of stuff inside of me to, like, I couldn't even trust another person. I couldn't trust a woman. It was a long time before I was able to give all of that in. And, and my dad, he never had his dad around, so he don't know how to show love. He didn't know how to show, like, and his I love you was something like, okay, I bought you something, so be appreciative of that. And that's what it is, So I was very heavy involved in sports. I would always be in music. I would always go writing, because I really couldn't go anywhere because my parents would shelter me a lot of times. So a lot of my friends was able to go to the mall or go get on girls and do whatever, but I was always in my room writing poetry. I'm writing R&B raps. I'm writing everything. So everything that I developed to where I'm at now is no wonder why, like, I have like the love of writing and journaling, because it started when I was young. So I started off in that room. I was by myself. I used to call it the dark place. That's where I used to go. That was my place. That was when I used to unwind, be by myself, and I was able to, like, relax and hide from the moment. But those two were always fighting. They always argue. So that was a trait that I had developed myself. When in my first marriage, I would argue a lot. I would say a lot of things that was on my mind. But now I understand from that point is that I forgave them recently, maybe about 2 years ago. it took that long because I didn't know how to balance it. I would hold them for what they done to me personally, partially, you know what I mean? So I understand now that life, the handbook that given to us, it don't have no instructions in it, none at all. So you got to go through the motions. You got to go through the periods of times where you have to develop those instructions and write them down yourself, because you know, like, okay, I can't pass this on to my kids, you know? So I understand now when I'm around them, it's all about timing. Like I said last week, that timing that you give them, that's something that I was yearning for when I was a kid. So I want to give that back to them. So that's when you able to say, hey, you know what? I forgive my parents, and I forgive them for whatever I went through, because simply I'm giving back now to my own seeds. So that's where it counts at, because it's like, okay, well, I'm giving them, like you always hear parents say that, I'm giving my kids what I didn't have. Okay,
Yep.
so when you give your kids what you didn't have, that's not only material, that's transferred down for love, support, everything that you feel that you didn't get, you need to give it to them a double dose. You know what I mean? And it don't, like I said, it don't always have to be material. But that's the love and the time is more important than the material anyway. But when you give them that substance, they able to transfer it down to their kids. So it's all about a generational thing, man. It's like it's all passed down from person to kid to parent, and it's just a whole nother thing. But you have to be mature enough when you get to that stage to know, hey, you know, I love my pops, I love my mom, but you know what they did, I didn't agree with it, but now I have a chance, opportunity to get rid of that generational curse that's been transferred to me. You know, and it's not your fault that it's been transferred to you, because it coming through your DNA. It's on both sides of the of the spectrum. So you have to understand that, hey, you know, it's in my blood, but it don't have to be me. You feel what I'm saying? So I can get rid of whatever I have to get rid of at any time.
No, you guys are both right, man. You know, it's you know, with me, it was real. It was real tough. It took me a long time to finally get to the point where I could truly forgive my well, I'll say both parents, but I, you know, namely my mom, because that's the only parent I truly grew up with. I mean, partially even on that sense, right? Um, my mom was really heavy into drugs, really heavy into that underworld life, and you know, neglected me. I was neglected for a majority of my life. You know what I mean? Like at least I felt neglected, right? Like there was a portion of my life, I guess you would say, middle school area, that's probably like the only time in my life where my mom was there 100%. The rest of the time, from the time I was a child to the time, you know, even when I got into high school and things like that, she was off, you know, just into the drug world, into, you know, like I said in the song, you know, drugs, prostitutions, robbery, all that kind of shit. You know what I mean? She was deep into the life. Um, and it was hard on me because, you know, as a child, when all you want is your mom, because you need that love, you know, that's the first bond that you have in this world is your mom. That's the first bond. I mean, even it's not until you, in a sense, really get older that you kind of yearn for a father figure, you know, because you're still that child, you know, being that she held you in the womb for 9 months, you come out and boom, you know. And so for the longest time, like I said, she wasn't around. Like she would come in and out of my life. Like she would be there, and then every year she would be gone. And I, you know, I later found out that was due to her going to jail almost every year. You know, but as a kid, all you think is that it's your fault that she's not around. You know, does she not love me? Does she not? What did I do to deserve this kind of, you know, lack of love, lack of attention, that kind of thing. You know, and like I said, it took me a long time to and I'm probably there's still some remnants of me that haven't been able to forgive her just yet, but the process has started, and there was I said there's so much that I lacked that, and like I said, I grew up in I really grew up a depressed child. Like it took me a while to realize that too. Like you were really depressed your entire childhood because of the things that you were put through, the life that. I said one of the earliest memories that I have of my mom is when a dude was actually trying to kill her. Like that's one of the earliest memories I have of my mom. I'm in the back seat. We somewhere on like when the hood streets here to here to come Washington on the hilltop or whatever. She got me I'm in the back seat. All I remember is a nigga come jumping into the car with a 6-shooter trying to murder her, and she was straight up like, what's he doing? Put that gun away. My son's in the back seat. And I remember just like when you're young, you don't really understand what's going on, but you can feel the angst. You can feel, what I'm saying, like that this is not a good situation. He came in, jumped in with I don't care how small, you can feel the energy of a gun. You know what I mean? You can feel that energy. So it was like I said, that's one of the earliest memories that I have of my mom, and that will always stick with me. But yeah, it's been so much, and I had to kind of just take a step back. And like I said, after I became an adult, after I became probably after I got married and stuff, and that fell through, I had to really I really sat back and took a hard look at everything that I've been through in life, right? And I think it was at that moment is when I finally was able to forgive my mom, because I looked at everything that I went through, why I'm the way that I am, such and such. Then I had to realize the story that she told me of the things that she went through as a child, right? And that put a burden on her and made her do the things that she did as an adult. And like you said, it's all passed down through your genetics. It's all passed down to you. So all that pain, all that anger, all that, tension, so to speak, everything was passed down to me, right? She was locked up in jail I say this all on the song. That's why that song was so heavy when I wrote it. It's only us, but she was locked up in jail, got out on the furlough, met the man who was my father, had, what I'm saying, they did what they did the damn thing. She went back in jail and then got out and then had me a few months later. So all that energy of her being locked up, of her, everything is all that pain is inside me. It's because it passed down through her, like you said, through her DNA, into me. And so, like I said, there was a lot of pain, a lot of anger, a lot of things that I went through, and it wasn't until I feel like I was going through the process of my divorce, and I finally sat down and looked at everything of why I am the way that I am, and the things that she, subjected me to, and just had to sit back and realize, like, you know what, man, like she went through so much that I don't want to say it wasn't her fault, but she was basically, she could only play with the cards that she was dealt with, right? And so it took me a while, man, but it was time, and by the time I was able to do that, once I was able to kind of release that energy, because it was such a burden on me, it opened up so much of my personality, so much of my creativity, so much of who I am, who I truly am as a man, was on the other side of me acknowledging that it, in a sense, wasn't her fault. She was only able to play with the cards that she was dealt, and so it was a beautiful thing, man. It just allowed me to grow, and I'm still growing. I feel like the first half of my life, was cut off, but there's still so much of me that's inside of me that I'm tapping into. That, man, that's why, you know, my 40s are some of my best years, because it's like, yo, I'm just getting started, bro. Like, I'm really just getting started. You know what I mean? With knowing who I am as a man, and just that confidence is in a sense finally coming to me, because I was in such a bad place, a dark place, no self-esteem. And so to finally be at a place where I don't need somebody else to speak life into me. Like, you know, I said, when we're little, we need our parents to speak life into us, to help us gain that confidence, to help us, you know, figure out who we are. But to be to the point where, you know what, it's all on me now. So I have to be the one that says, you know what, yeah, you are who you are. This is who you are, and let that shit shine. Let that self part of yourself shine through. You know, and yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing. You have to be able to forgive your parents for the things that you might have been subjected to, no matter how miniature or minor it might have been, or how major it might have been. No, it's just a vital thing for you as a person to grow and to be who you truly are. So yeah,
For real. That's 100. And I think, man, as I'm thinking about it, I'm listening to both of y'all speak. Just you kind of had both sides of the coin to be a part of, to help create you as a whole. And I know Ty, you know, more so just his mind, and so was mine. But as I'm listening about, like, when did we feel the need to seek forgiveness from my parents? I cut it off. And this is probably even the realization of just what the lack thereof can do to you. I cut it out of my life at an early age, that I neglect the fact that the absence of my father actually created a huge role in who I am, why I am the way I am, even like y'all said, through my DNA especially, but even like the lack thereof, and now created, like y'all said, this bulging situation in between us. So it's just like, on one side, I got moms who was there at all my games, my track meets, my football games. She supported me, did the best that she could. But on the other side of that, where this, you know, where this conversation really stems from, you think like, but it was a big ass piece missing. And that other piece was my other half. And again, now you start going down that rabbit hole. You look just like them. You look just like the person. You probably act just like them. You got the same eating habits, all these things that was, again, created through you, through just the DNA. But then I start thinking about it like, I really didn't have no father figures in my life to give me any kind of insight. And it took me up until like maybe 26, 27. I had a real good conversation with one of my homegirls. And she was just telling me, like, you know, you getting older, you should like maybe reach out to your dad and maybe have a convo with him. I'm like, you know what? You know, at the first time we talked about it, I'm like, man, fuck that. I ain't got nothing to say to buddy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, for what? I'm a grown man at this point. I done learned all the lessons I could learn that I needed to learn, so to speak. From my understanding, like, why do I need to reach out to somebody that's just going to do nothing for me? That was my mentality. That was my mindset. But on the other end of that, the part that I was avoiding was, yeah, you may not want to talk to him, but he may need to talk to you. You may need to be able to hash out some feelings and some emotions that you created within yourself, this resentment and this anger and this frustration, because again, the lack thereof, you feel like he owed you something. He owed you, at least he owed you half the duties of raising you, but 100% of his effort and his interest into creating you who you could have been better than, again, in the situations that I've ever been in. So on that side of things, that was like one of the hardest, not when you say it was hard, it was just one of the biggest turning points for me. Like I said, 26, 27, where I actually admitted the feelings that I was feeling towards my dad, allowing myself to be in the emotion of it, but then actually not even just talking to him. I caught a whole flight down to Memphis, Tennessee, and we talked. And from that point, it was like, okay, I can see again, as a man, you were dealt with the cards that you were dealt with, and you played them the way that you played them. I just think that when you played them, you wasn't keeping in mind what you had going on this side of your hand. Like you only was playing with half the deck, and you wasn't really playing with the whole deck to get your situation the best way to win the game. And that's just winning the game of fatherhood, winning the game of parenthood. So I feel like that helped me really realize again what letting go is, what being honest with yourself and your vulnerability of your emotions. All of that came from the lack thereof, which at now in my 30s, I don't need that apology so much. I only need the acknowledgement of what you did, the placement that you created, but acknowledging like, hey, I know I wasn't there, but from this moment on, I'll be there. So for me, I'm like, okay, as a grown up, I can accept that because I can't. Again, when it comes to the art of letting go, when it comes to the art of being patient and being in the now, I know what it's like to be a parent. I'm a parent now. I know that not everything comes to you right away.
Right.
How you still can acknowledge and reassure me some other things so that in this present moment, you alive, I'm alive, let's heal, but then heal together. And then from there, I could again understand how it's like to let go of that anger and frustration that you have within yourself that you buried so deep and you like, wow, I was always mad. You kind of know the answer now, but it's like when that happened, again, I didn't necessarily need an apology, not directly, but I definitely got the acknowledgement that I needed to help me now blossom into the person that I am today because it taught me how to let go. And I think that helped, that was like a turning point in my life because again, right at that same point in my life, I feel like, I became, aware of the knowledge of self. I started to do my own homework on who I am, who I, where I come from, not even just DNA wise, just all the way back in the culture. So it was a great time to be alive. Let me say, what's that by years ago? So we're gonna say around like 2016, 2017 is like that shift happened. So I think it comes at different waves from different situations. I definitely do think that one, we gotta apologize to ourselves for making these mistakes that we made and then making those decisions that we made once we realized it was a mistake. It's a decision after that. But then you can come to the terms of like, okay, did they do what they could have done? But what did they have to do what they needed to do? Then you can start to ask those questions and heal from all of these things that we're talking about.
Man. Um, hmm. So like my biggest thing coming from childhood years, especially it was really love, man. Like and that was something that I was seeking, it was hard to find. Because I never had, like, my dad would never tell me he loved me until I got older. So as a kid, when I really needed it, that's when it affected me the most because I didn't feel the love. So whenever you don't feel love, what do? You start seeking.
Yep.
Seek it. Like, where is that? And I always would look for, like, whenever I was dating, I would look for my significant other. Like I wanted, like you said that day, Ty, that's where I got that from. When you was talking about, you seek that love from that person that you didn't get from like your moms or whoever. So you looking for that in every single relationship that you're in. And it mess you up, because like if it don't work, now you got to pick up the pieces and try to figure something else out. So like even with Tupac has said, and that's pretty much why I wore this shirt tonight with Ice Cube, because those guys was the ones that, whenever you don't have like visual, I had the physical of my pops, but I didn't have the love that I was looking for. So like I said, I went and seek for it other ways. So you look for those mentors to try to like get inside your mind and be like, okay, this is how you do this and this is how you do that. So Tupac was saying, if one man calling a woman the B word, that's how you're gonna start doing it, because this your role model that you're looking up to. So like, how can we be better role models and reversing what we have been taught in the past? And like, how can we put that, instill the good qualities inside of our sons and daughters and everybody that's around us? So that's was something that I always been thinking about in my mind, because it's like I said, it's not the parents' fault per se, but I feel like everybody not strong enough at times to like defeat like some of the stuff that like you go through, because like I said, if it get been transferred down, you might need help to like get that overcome. You might have you need some assistance, or like somebody to vent to like to kind of get that out of you. You know what I mean? Because like whenever I look at my boys, I'm like, man, I don't ever want them not to feel that I don't have no love for them. You know what I mean? I don't want them to feel like my little self going inside my dark place and like saying, okay, do my dad love me? Do my mom love me? Like, what's going on? And that was the questions that I always had all the way up till I was 40 years old. So now it's like, okay, I forgive them for what they done, but I don't have to be like them per se, or what they haven't broke the curse of their own lives. They wasn't strong enough to do that. So I'm in a position where I can make a change for this future generation to come down and how they treat their kids. You know what I mean? So giving that type of love back and reciprocated back to that person, like it feels great to be able to, because a lot of times I have to check myself too, because I feel myself like, I got that ethics from my dad. Like I work a lot, and I work hard. And that's what my dad instilled in me. He did instill some good qualities, and that was one of them right there. But the timing of like giving everybody their time was something that I was battling with at first, but now like I'm kind of putting it all together, because like whenever you're a kid, you don't look at how tired your parents are. You care, but you don't. It's kind of like it's my time right now,
Can't really
So
process
like
it.
exactly. So when my son's sitting up front with his ball in his hand, he looking like, I know you just came from work. I'm gonna give you a second, but I expect you to come outside and throw the ball with me. Okay. And I look at my little 8-year-old self. Whenever he does that to me, I look at myself back when I was 8 years old, and I'm looking at my dad with my ball in my hand, and I had to go play by myself. So, and I know how that felt. So I always try to make time, like even when I'm tired, I know it, but you have to make time, and you have to be there for the people that love you too as well. So
No, absolutely, man. You guys both said some key things, So yeah, when it comes to me, so when it comes to my father, like it took even longer for me to finally, say, you know what, I forgive you. You know what I mean? Because because really, it's like you said, Corey. You said you was like in your 20s, and someone was like, you should reach out to you. He's like, fuck that, I'm not doing that. Because you still, it was still, you were still hurt, bro. It was still a lot of pain. So what I look like reaching out to this dude that didn't give a damn about me, like his own seed. Why do I look like reaching out to this person when for 20-something years he didn't give a damn about me, right? So no, I'm not doing that. I remember I made a post. It was about probably about a good 15, maybe 10 years ago. I don't remember exactly, but I said something like to the point where um, if I see this man, I'm gonna probably knock him out first. I want to knock him out. I want to knock him out first. Because that's how much that's how hurt I was. That's how much pain I was dealing with. From just not to because as young boys, man, we need somebody that we could look to, that we could mirror, man. Like it's so vital. I can only speak from my point of view, being a young boy, going to a man, how important it is for that father. That's why when my son, when I found out I was having a child, when she told me she was pregnant, first of all, I knew I knew already. As soon as I slipped up, I was like, you might be, might be pregnant. I'm only 16 years old at the time. But I knew I felt it. I was like, I might have slipped up. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if if I released in time, if I can't better that in time. But she was like, I don't know. We might be all right. But then, you know what, about maybe a month later, 2 months later, maybe about a month later, she came to me and she told me she was pregnant. And I knew right then it was gonna be a son. I knew right then I was gonna have a son. I knew it. You know what I'm saying? And it was at such a vital point in my life is that because I was suicidal thoughts, you know what I mean? There was so much going on at home, you know, like I said, what my mom was doing, living in a dope house, her just, I mean, there was a lot, bro. It was really a lot. So when she told me she was pregnant, I knew I was gonna have a son. And it was one of those situations where it saved my life because I was in such a dark place. And I knew at that moment, I was like, you know what? This is going to give me a chance to give what I didn't have. Even at such a young age, being 16 years old, 17 by the time he was born, I was like, that's the only thing I want to do is basically provide him with the love that I never got from you know with my father not being there. And even after he was born and you know still you know I'm young and of course I made mistakes but showing the care, showing the love, and being there for him as much as I possibly could was high priority. It was there was nothing more important to me. And then so to you know a few years after you know being like I said in my 20s and still feeling you know the lack because like I said a whole you got two branches. One whole branch was completely severed, you know, never even actually sprouted, right? And that's like you said, that's a lot. You're missing something. So, and I've never even seen the man. I don't know what the man looks like to this day. I've never seen a picture of him. I've never seen nothing. I don't know nothing about him, right? And so to be able to have that opportunity to even just see a picture or meet up with him, I would have jumped at the chance, right? But just because I wanted to just see where a lot of this came from. I can see parts of my mom, but to see where me as a man comes from, like that would have been monumental, man. I mean, just that alone. But I say that to say it's like maybe it was for the good. You know what I mean? Maybe I was saved from like the fact that he wasn't there. Maybe it was better for me because who knows the type of man that he was. Who knows the type of man that you know if or is, but you know the fact I don't know if he's still alive or not, but he might have been detrimental to my growth. He might have been detrimental to my life. He might have showed me some things that I might have took heed to, and it might not have been positive. It might not have been good for me. It might have been, you know what I mean? So the fact that he wasn't there was probably beneficial for me. And that's what it took for me to finally be like, you know what? I forgive you. You know what? I forgive you. It was hard. I definitely would have liked to, you know, to have you in my life from my personal perspective, but you might have saved me from a life of turmoil, even more turmoil. You might have saved me from you know, like the fact that how I am with women as far as like okay, my abandonment issues. So yeah, I know that came from for the most part my mom because like I said she would come in and out, in and out, in and out. But you might have added on top of that with who knows how you actually treat women. The fact that you didn't stay kind of speaks to it in and of itself. But who knows how you actually even treat women? You know what I mean? You could have been a woman beater, and I could have seen that and could have, you know, said, oh, well, since this is what my dad does, this must be how you're supposed to treat women. You know, you could have been a crook, you could have been a criminal, you could have been a gangster. You know what I'm saying? And I could have took after that, and that could have took my life down a completely different road. You know what I mean? So sitting back and thinking about all those things is one of those. It's like you know what? I forgive you, man. I'm almost glad you weren't in my life now because you partly showed me the type of man that you are. And the fact that you weren't there, you probably saved me from a completely different life, you know. So it's tough, man. You know, when you don't receive the things that you know that you feel that you receive, but at the same time, when you do have a child of your own, it helps you say, you know what, this is the type of man that I'm going to be. This is the type of father that I'm going to be. My son's not ever going to know, ever not going to know me. My son will never question who his father is. And I will always impart wisdom. I will always give him the gems. I will always, man, there'll be times when I'll have a conversation, be chilling with my son, and he'll, like I said, I've said this before, but he'll tell me something that I told him, and it makes me feel good because it stuck with him even at a young age, you know, to say something to him and just to, there'll be times like say if he's, you know, getting ready for football season, you know, I take him to, like you said, take him to the park and we throw the football around, or we do some football drills and do some different things. And, you know, that bond will never be broken. He will always have those memories, you know? And that's a beautiful thing, man. That's the only thing, that's something that will always keep me going. Will always keep me going, man. So yeah, it was hard to forgive the man, but as a 45-year-old man about to be 46, if I have a chance to meet him now, it would be a total different, you know, like I would definitely express to him. I would probably cry. I ain't gonna front, you know what I mean? Like I'd probably cry, bro, just because so many years. I mean, I would probably get, it would be a deep hug, embrace of like, you know, like damn, finally, you know what I'm saying? And I would probably definitely cry. I ain't gonna front, but all that anger is not there. The to want to hurt him is not there anymore, because I did just fine, man. I did just fine without you, and I'm thankful for the man that I am, partly because of you not being there, probably. You know what I mean? And I can honestly say, so yeah, man, it's one of those important things that you got to do. You know, we have to do as adults. It's just forgive them, you know, forgive them for they know not what they do, kind of thing, you know. So, but yeah, it's life. It's life.
Yeah, man. I have a homie, bro, that experienced the same thing that you just talked about, but his pops called him on his deathbed to come see him, and he never saw him, never knew nothing about him. He called him to come see him on his deathbed. He went, and I asked him, I was just like, man, how did you feel? He's like, man, I ain't feel nothing. Like, I just was numb. That was his. He said, I had so much anger, I actually wanted to pull the cord myself. But that's where the absence comes in, and it's like, that's what happens, you know, to that person, you know, because everybody deal with emotions differently, you know, and some people might hold this grudge to the rest of their lives. You know, some of them, hopefully they can make amends and, you know, figure it out one day. But I understand, because that emotion is different. So we all have to take that time to like deal with that emotion, that anger. And if it's something that you don't want to deal with, you don't have to deal with it, you know. But if it's something that you're curious about, maybe you need to like try to reach out or see if anybody know any whereabouts or whatever, you know, to get that done, you know, because it's going to be something in the back of your mind for the rest of your life that you're going to be thinking like, man, like, who is this person, you know? And that's what he was doing. That's what he dealt with. He was like, I don't know this man, you know? And he almost didn't go, but he said he glad he did go. But as soon as he went in there, his dad died like 5 minutes later, like right when he did it. And he was like, I'm glad I was able to just see a glimpse of what he looked like. Yep. And so that just touched me on a different angle, because I was just like, that would make me win love on my pops a little more. Because I'm like, man, I'm able to talk to him and see him, and I can go visit him anytime I want. You know, he's still alive and he's still here, so it just makes you more grateful because everybody else got different things going on, and and I even tip my hat off to both of you guys, man. Like for y'all to be present right now instead of being locked up, like you said, being criminals or being like an asshole or whatever, but y'all chose a different route in life and not use that situation to affect others or to harm anybody in any way. So y'all use to channel that energy in different ways to like you said, into y'all sons. The both of y'all got sons. So, y'all put that positive energy inside of them that y'all didn't have coming up. So now it's like they're gonna be able to be like, okay, like my pops is always gonna be there and he's here for me. So they ain't gonna have the testimony that we got, so they gonna have a different outlook on life and they're gonna be productive citizens and grown men, like to be able to be there for their kids. So like I said, it's generational, but we have the power to cut it right there, you know what I'm saying, and move to the next phases in life. So
That's real, man.
Yeah.
Y'all saying profound shit though. That's why I like having these conversations, man. And I think just the art of forgiveness in itself is what helps us get to the point of being able to forgive somebody else. Feel me? Like I wouldn't know how to forgive any one of my parents for whatever it is that they caused, or I feel like they could have done better until I was once forgiven in a situation where I felt like I did something wrong. And as a parent, you know, we can say how much we didn't do for our kids. I'm not that, I've only been a parent for 74 years, but as far as just being an adult, I think I've been that longer. So I've made mistakes along the way. And throughout those mistakes, even before I had to deal with my dad, I started to receive forgiveness. So that kind of showed me like what it looks like to be forgiven for something, even if you did it on purpose, somebody still forgave you. So I feel like I've been given the opportunity to forgive someone else for something that they done to me, whether he knew it or he didn't know it. I was able to release that energy for myself. And I think that's like at the end of all of this, it's like you gotta let go of whatever it is that you're feeling internally so you can forgive them. And once you forgive them, the rest is just, it's clear skies from there because again, you forgave yourself for whatever mistake you did to remind yourself about what they didn't do or could have done better. And then once you release that tension and you release it from them, you can kind of move with that energy and that purpose of like just being an example of what forgiveness looks like. And for me, again, looking at it from like teaching our kids and teaching the community and teaching anybody that comes behind us or that stands next to us, we have to be an example of that. We have to display what we're looking to get and give that. You know what I mean? Because that's what the universe does. It gives us what we put in. You know what I mean? And that's just like at work. You put in, punch the clock, the outcome of that, you get paid. So it's the same thing, And that's the same thing of above duality. That's the same thing as above is so below. You can't receive anything that you're not in the energy to receive. So if I want forgiveness, I got to be in the forgiveness energy and frequency. And I learned that again throughout the same journey of letting go of my dad did, and then evolving into the actual grown man that I wanted to see myself as. That kind of helped me switch that gear. That kind of helped me shift that mindset to look at it from that perspective. And then again, it just started helping me to see what that looks like point to point again. Like my mom's, we still got some things we got to work out. I've given her for, but with my dad, it was a heavier burden. So now I'm like, I want to be able to give not only my kids, but whoever I mentor, whoever I'm around, whoever kid that can, you know, be touched by my words. I want to make sure like they know what it looks like on my side as the adult. Like, hey, Mr. Key, he really stand up guy. He stand on what he stand for. So, you know what I mean? Just operating in that space that's where
Yeah, man. And it's I think back to where the road could have turned for me, right? Like when it comes to like what you were saying, that's what we were, saying before as well. But just a matter of there was a time when I look back and it's like, man, that was a road that I was going down the road of being a bully, but and that would have turned into who knows what kind of person that would have turned into, but that was right before my mom left again, but she was going to treatment. but she left me again, and it just broke me. Like it just broke me, like, and I felt like I wasn't really the same after that. Which in hindsight could have been what I needed because I was, in a sense, I see myself going down the wrong path. Like as I look back, I could have been down the wrong path, the path that wouldn't have been where like you said, I couldn't be, I might not be sitting here today with you guys, and it's just one of those things that, it's like you said with your boy, seeing his dad on his deathbed, like if that has to be, how I see the man before he goes. Or like I said, the fact that I don't even know if he's still alive or not. That's one thing that puzzles me. But if that has to be that, then so be it. I would hope not, but at the end of the day, if that's what it is, or if I never get, I just want to. If somebody was like, "Yo, boom, I found this picture, and he looks like he could be related to you," and then come to find out that was my father, or that's my father, that might be all I needed. That might be all I need, just a picture, just to see what this dude looked like. I remember it was crazy. I remember it's probably about 15 years ago now. One of my friends, she was working at a pharmacy here in Tacoma, and she texted me and was like, "Oh my God, somebody just came in here, looked just like you. His eyes were just like yours, and such and such." And I was like, "Okay, so I need you to work with me here because," and she was like, he's an older man, but basically she was just like, his eyes look just like yours, and it kind of shook me because it's like, okay, this could be my dad that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying? It's in an area where I used to live. I think he still has family. There's still some people with his last name that are in that area. So it's like, this could really be my father that you're looking at. So I need a little more information. Like, can you get a picture of him? Can is there something that you can? But oh no, he just left. But he looked just like you, whatever. I was like, man, like that shit it was crazy to me because I had never, up until that point, I had never heard anything, nothing to that sort. And so I was just like, yo, I need your help with this. You know what I mean? Like, what more information can you get from me about this situation right here? But nothing ever came of it. But it was just one of those situations, man, that I was on the edge of like, yo, listen, I could possibly see my father. Like, yo, help me out. I know you got patient confidentiality kind of agreements and shit, but yo, look up that Uncle's file or something. You know what I mean? See what you can get. The address or something. I won't tell nobody. It's between me and you. But she wasn't able to do it. But yeah, it was just one of those situations, man, that it was that close, and I could, who knows? But anyway, man, I just thought about that. But just to have that ability, if I look forward to it. It's still something that I want. To be able to just say, hey, you know what? This is, I'm your son. This is your grandson. This is your great grandson and your great granddaughters. Like that'd be major. Because like I said, I've already come to the point where I forgive you, so it's not going to be no animosity. But we would definitely have a talk. I would definitely want to know, hear your side of the story, hear where you, why you, in a sense, abandoned me. But after that, it's just like, because like I said, the hurt is gone. It's not there no more. But I still would like to know exactly why, man. I'm just want to know why, So, but yeah, you got to be able to do it in order to grow because it can definitely stunt your growth as a person if you don't because the forgiveness is not for them, it's for us.
Exactly.
It ain't for him because he obviously didn't give a damn. for the ones that who wasn't there, like I said, you know what I'm talking about, Corey. I mean, even you, Jess. I mean, as far as like the things that you went through with your father, it's not for them. It's for us to be able to say to move past it and grow, become better people, become better men. It's the bottom line. The apology is not for. It's not, like I said, the forgiveness is not for you. It's for me, man. And I'm thankful that I was able to finally come to that point to where I can just let it go and be like, yeah, you know what? I became a better man without him, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, man, I caught myself the other day, bro. It's another thing that I wanted to stop doing, and I'm doing it now. Because every time I think about it and I say it, I check myself about it, and that's pointing the finger. I was walking the track, me and my wife walking the track, and I saw this kid. My dad loved fishing coming up. I know how to throw a line, I know how to do all that, but I didn't know how to string the pole, right? So my son is interested in it now, and I went and bought 2 poles, and I sat up there and I told my wife, my dad never showed me this. This is something that he knew how to do, and he never showed me how to do this. But the excuses that we make sometimes, you check yourself, because all we got to do is go on this little device that we got and go straight on YouTube and figure this shit out. And that's what I did. So now I learn how to string it so I can teach him, because I was embarrassed almost, because I was like, man, I don't even know how to show this kid how to even to line up a fishing pole. But then it was like, dude, like you the man in his eyes. He don't give a damn where you learn it from. When you teach him, yeah, he ain't gonna know where you learn it from. But it's at the time when I felt like, okay, I'm pointing the finger at my pops, because I don't know how to do it because of you. That's not right, man. That's not right. He was in a different headspace maybe at that time. Maybe he didn't know that I wanted to learn. I don't know. If sometimes, a lot of times, a closed mouth don't get fed too. So if you don't say what you want to learn and what you need to do, people don't know, man, and you can't hold them accountable for that. So I wanted to bring that out too, man, because I was doing that over the years, and I check myself daily about that, man, pointing that finger. Hey, so and so did this, or they made me do it. Nah, ain't nobody made you do nothing, bro. You can go on there. It's the same YouTube that we all got a hold to, and we can get on there and learn how to do all this stuff that we didn't been learn as young men or whatever, because that's when the experiences come. Like I said, that handbook don't come with instructions. You got to make the instructions. Yep. You feel me? So, and that's whenever you get those instructions, you pass them down to the other person. And that's all it's about.
Hey, what they say, when you point a finger, 3 point back at you. So
you know what? It's funny, that's the truest. But you know what? When I point now, I point like this. When I point now, I point like this. I point the whole hand, like they all going out. There ain't nothing pointing, but nah, I'm pointing like this. Let me hit you with that.
Yes.
No, that's real though, man. Hey, that's real shit though, Jess. For real. Hey man, but like you said, there ain't no instructions to it. So that's why when we look at it, just to speak that hand, why is it important to let go? And why is it important to forgive our parents? Shit, they ain't had no instruction manual. We ain't got no instruction manual. Right. So at the end of the day, we both was going through this thing called life, trying to figure this shit out. And, we only get a certain time. And, that's why I commend you, Ty. You talk about it with so much passion that we can't tell if you still heard from it, but we only get a set of parents before, their time is gone, and we are the set of parents to our kids, and that's all they gonna get. Yep. So it's like, on this time on earth, why not try to, mend those gaps? Why not try to right your wrongs to a degree if you can? You know what I mean? By all means, there's some stubborn people out there. There's a lot of people who just are one-sided, don't want to hear you. It happens. It's like that. But then we start to forgive ourselves. We just allow ourselves to let go. But I think it's crucial, man, that, whoever who's listening, for all those who are going through a similar situation, you got to learn how to forgive in general. And once you start forgiving, you put in the opportunity to forgive, you'll be able to forgive someone that hurt you. Even if it's 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it's gotta happen. That hurt ain't doing nothing at this point but hurt you. Because that person probably forgot. That person they probably living, or that person you wherever they at living their best life, and you up here still hurt because of this. So like, I had to learn from it. It took again 28 years of living before I actually let go. So you know what I mean? It's no tutorial for it, even in that aspect. So just give yourself grace, give yourself some love and some forgiveness. For real.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely, man. Whew. It's a heavy one, boy. Like it's one of them ones, man. Like I knew, it's like it's something that you have to be willing to, like I said, we all spoke on it, just come to that point and say, and just pretty much wash your hands of it. That's what it comes down to. You got to be able to just come to it and just wash your hands of the situation, so you can move on, so you can, have that better life. So you're not bringing none of that pain to your own children. You know what I'm saying? So you're not, yeah. So they're not affected because the more that you allow it to dictate how you move, the more you're gonna, you know what I mean? Like you can end up taking it out on your own children. And you don't want, that's not healthy for nobody, man. It's not healthy for nobody. So definitely everybody, if you got some pain that was caused to you by your parents, you got to be willing to let that go. Got to be willing to let that go. Let it go to grow. So, yeah. Whew. You guys, anybody got anything else we want to speak on before we dip out? I feel like we spoke on some, like I said, that was a heavy one.
Yeah.
That was heavy.
I don't know, man. I feel like we done spoke it up, man. That was icing on the cake right there.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah.
Cherry on top of that one.
For sure. Well, yeah, man. Like I said, appreciate everybody for continued support, and we wanted to have a different episode today, but it didn't pan out. We still looking to make that happen. We want to make sure we're getting, because it's a conversation for men and women to be able to tap in. So we want to be able to have some women that we can have the conversation with, to give us their opinion, impart how they feel, and so forth. So we will have this conversation. We're not going to tell you what it is just yet. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure we can lock down some counterparts before we give you too much of the juice. But anyway, another great episode, another great conversation, another great talk. We will continue to bring you these types of conversations that people can all grow from. People can all everybody should be able to take something from this conversation specifically. And if not, watch it again, listen to it again, and I'm sure you will. Feel me? So yeah, mindset here. Jay Hunter, Complex Key. I want to thank y'all for continuing to rock with us, and yeah, we'll be back at it next week.
You know it.
Peace, y'all.
Peace and love.